Hello lovely people, welcome back to another book chat. Okay, so today I want to start off first by talking about those books that either as a writer or a reader really sort of moved you on and opened your eyes to other opportunities around. And this is kind of spurred by a lovely writer friend of mine, Simon, and I'll put a link to his blog down there. You'll have to go to the blog to find it if you're on YouTube. But he wrote a lovely blog post about the books that had influenced him, the ones that had sort of changed his life, so to speak. And I think definitely as a reader, Tolkien did that for me, because I started off. We're being joined. I started off with reading The Hobbit at, I think about 7 or so, and eventually a couple of years later I moved on to The Lord of the Rings. And if you've read both of them, you'll know that as well as just having such a different sense of the story, from being this kind of fun adventure, nothing too bad happens. Okay, there's scary stuff, but it's it's all still quite contained. You're always sure that there's going to be a happy ending. Jumping from there to The Lord of the Rings, where the language is much more archaic and stylized, and the obviously the grand scale of it is just sort of mind-boggling when you're jumping from one to the other as well for the first time. And yeah, you're not quite so sure that there's going to be a happy ending. And there isn't really. I mean, there is and there isn't. That's what's so lovely about it. So for me, as far as being a reader went, that was a massive step for me. That opened up all these other new books that I could read of this much more adult language and this much more grand scale, and I think more of a sense of, if not tragedy, certainly of melancholy. Although to be honest, if you read The Moomin Trolls, you know all about that from quite an early age, because nobody does melancholy like Tom Jensen, and it's one of the most beautiful things about her books. So yeah, so for me, Tolkien as a reader, that was quite a learning curve for me. And as a writer as well, it's I still have so much admiration for the grand scale of it, and for the incredible history that went on behind it, and the world building. I will admit that I never got through the Silmarillion. I did try, because I read and reread The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. And I do remember my mum had a copy of the Silmarillion as well, so I tried that, but that was just too much for me. So yeah, but I do definitely, from a writing perspective, that also gave me another sense of how many worlds you could create, that you weren't limited, you could create anything. So yeah, reading The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings was quite a big thing for me when I was young. However, coming back to the subject of the book at hand, as much as I love Tolkien, and as much as I love dragons, even if they are very much of the tea-drinking variety, I have never gotten around to reading Farmer Giles of Ham. And look at how beautiful that is. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is illustrated by Pauline Baynes, and it's actually really interesting, this book, because there's a really long introduction which talks about the evolution of the story from being a tale that Tolkien told to his kids, going through various changes and reiterations and drafts and that sort of thing, till eventually ended up as the quite small book which it is. And so that's fascinating. But it also talks about how when Pauline Baynes started illustrating for Tolkien, he actually at one stage says that his words are supporting her art, because he felt the art captured the characters so much that it was more him supporting her than the other way around, which I think is lovely. I like the fact that he recognised how good it was, because it is fantastic. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Absolutely beautiful. So the cover illustration is done by her as well, so it's two quite different styles, but they're both fantastic, and they just work so well for the story, because it is this very funky sort of medieval, it's set in sort of a thinly disguised UK essentially, and this farmer who accidentally becomes quite a hero because he scares away a giant, and when this dragon starts marauding about the place, he is called upon by the king to fight the dragon, which of course he's terrified by, because he actually scared the giant by accident. And it's a fantastic story. It's really fun. It's a quick, easy read. If you are a Tolkien fan, this version with all the extra bits at the intro, and also at the end there is, look at those, so I can't stop showing off the photos, the illustrations, they're so gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. So at the end there is also the earlier version, the sort of first manuscript when it had first been the sort of oral story that he told his kids, just writing that down as opposed to what it then grew to become. So this is brilliant. So essentially, funny, cute story, fantastic for any age, really interesting if you're a Tolkien fan for all the other extra bits and pieces which are in this particular edition. There we go, you can have a look. Gorgeous illustrations, and I am so glad I finally got around to reading it. So thanks to John for recommending that for me, and I will repeat his advice to me, which was get one illustrated by Pauline Baines. There we go, lovely. Okay, so tell me, what were the books that really, either as a reader or a writer or both, really sort of changed the way you read or the way you wrote? What were the ones that you came across that kind of just, whether it was changed the way you saw things, changed up the way that you read, the way that you wrote, those ones that have really stuck with you over the years, because I would love to know. And also let me know what your favourite dragon stories are. There we go. Thanks very much. We'll speak to you next time. Bye.